Oh, I just gotta make a noise and then I leave.
Hello, and welcome to day one of this asinine task we decided to undertake, talking about a game a day, every day, for most of May. Today we're going to talk about a game starting with the letter
A.
For a short hike. Before we begin, he won't be needed for this. I first played a short hike when it went up for free on Epic Games back during, oh my, March of 2020. What an unremarkable period of history that was! But I loved it so much I ended up buying this really big collector's edition from Super Rare Games, and now that's my go-to version. You boot up the game and already you're put at ease. A very small sunrise is shown to you, as if to say it's the start of a new day, and you can do whatever you want with it. The title screen shows a car driving down a road with an island in the background. After starting a new game, you'll wake up on that same Hawk Peak island, with your Aunt May patiently waiting next to a fire. Immediately, it's your choice what you do next. You can run around, jump, swim, learn how to glide, learn how to glide a third time, just keep on learning how to glide. If you talk to your aunt, you'll learn the overarching goal of the game is to head to the peak of the mountain to get cell phone reception, as the player character Claire has been anxiously waiting for a phone call. Walking around the island, you'll find all sorts of things you can interact with and pick up, cute little animal characters to talk to, and eventually the soundtrack will kick in, fully reclining you into the Sunday afternoon iced tea that is a short hike. That right there is what's so incredible about a short hike to me, because when a game pitches to me an open world with lots of stuff to do and no clear guidance, simultaneously my eyes glaze over and my spine stiffens with stress. Games that are giant task burritos that spread in every direction cause me to lose interest really quickly, but also flare up some anxiety-fueled task completion gland in my brain.
You're spleenus.
Yes, my spleenus. It's a mix I do my best not to stir. But a short hike is just so small and concise and relaxed and simple and, normal. It doesn't have a fantasy world layered on top. You're not role-playing a druid. You're not in a dystopian cyberpunk city. Your ultimate goal is cell phone reception. What's more relatable? As you go along, collecting money, picking up sticks, and pocketing seashells, you'll find some golden feathers. As far as video game MacGuffins go, golden feathers are among the best there is because Claire's stamina directly corresponds to the number of golden feathers she's holding, and this isn't some convoluted exchange rate or anything. Once you pick up a golden feather, you can instantly run longer, climb further, and fly higher. And the flight in this game is just so fluid and buttery. Doing a normal glide is slow and easy to manage. You can dive and gain some serious speed, and doing a turn like this lets you do some wide banks. Plus, anytime you're in the air, the soundtrack gains an extra layer of gentle strings, granting this additional sense of unconstrained exploration. Flying around the island, you'll find lots of stuff to do. Shovels let you dig buried treasure, the fishing pole lets you catch fish, and the bucket lets you grow bounce pad plants. The typical goal of all this, and more, is to get more golden feathers, but thoroughly mixed in are fun character interactions and other little bonuses. Speaking of characters, the writing in this game is also very well done. The way dialogue appears is very similar to an instant messenger app like in Discord or Skype. You know how people will often type not sentences but sentence fragments and then send multiple messages even though just one could have worked? A short hike does that, but with its dialogue boxes. And where it might be a bit annoying at first, it manages to be instantly relatable as well. Because when you see a series of Discord messages organized like, "Hey man, just saw that movie. It was, really good." Personally, I read it in my head as though the speaker is pausing between each message and thinking of what they'd like to say next. It's not as though there's a comma between each message, but an ellipsis wouldn't work either, you know? It's something different. And beyond that, the actual dialogue in a short hike is also very frank and normal. That's not to say it's bad, I mean it's neither romanticized nor sterilized. Since the player character Claire is just a visitor, her first interactions with most characters are often between strangers, and they very much have that sensation of awkward and stiffness. But as you continue playing, it really does become more apparent how much more comfortable Claire gets with people. I like how the kids are little gremlins who are loud and unfiltered and don't always make sense. The park ranger is just so jazzed about how his merchandise is selling out, and the Rock Climbers Association member is so viciously religiously dedicated. After enjoying all of this relaxation and freedom, a short hike doesn't forget to have a little bit of challenge. It is a video game after all. As you get higher on the mountain, the climate gets cold enough to freeze your golden feathers solid, which means they'll no longer regenerate normally. You'll have to warm yourself up at a campfire or at a natural hot spring. Suddenly, how you manage your golden feathers becomes important, and you have to pay attention to when you flap your wings, when you press the sprint button, or when you instinctively climb up walls. Your normal movements are suddenly a question of efficiency. Is it better to fly up or climb up this wall? You can power through this area in a number of ways, and it's pretty brief too, but it's still such an interesting change of pace from the rest of the game. Plus, the reward for getting to the peak, aside from finishing the story, is that you can fly all the way back down, watching old friends come into view one by one, all while listening to new music. And after that, you can run around collecting more golden feathers so you can fly even better than before, effectively earning your own god mode. And there are little hats you can find! I mentioned earlier about the Super Rare Games Collector's Edition, and where other Collector's Editions come with some stickers and a folded up poster or something, a short hike really is enhanced as an experience with this big box of goodies. There are 2 fold-out topographical maps in the style of hiking brochures, and there's a bunch of world-building text about Hawk Peak Island and its landmarks. The developer once shared on Twitter how he made the map by putting a shader over the entire island. These maps aren't all that necessary, since the game flows just fine without one, but it does go an extra mile in making Hawk Peak feel like an actual place you could go to someday. There's also this CD soundtrack from Mark Sparling. What's great about this edition of the soundtrack is that it includes a bunch of songs that weren't in the game, including Game Boy style 8-bit remixes of songs. This here is the version of the soundtrack I listen to while driving. It's the perfect accompaniment for going on adventures or getting a quick bite. And best of all, there's this guidebook full of information about Hawk Peak Island. You can read all about the animals and the fish, see these beautiful illustrations, and read these really thorough handwritten notes from Claire about her trip around the island. A lot of these notes will follow things you'll do in your own playthrough, and will serve as helpful reminders of things like controls and what specific characters can help you with. It's such a cute touch. Think about how old game manuals have those empty notes pages in the back. How much more interesting would those pages be if they were filled? It's like popping in a used game cartridge and there's already a save file. There is so much love poured into a short hike, and it's an honor to be a part of even a portion of it. This is just such a perfect, genuine, tiny little game. There are some really great videos with the developer and the composer about how they made their respective parts of the game and why they went in the directions they did. I recommend watching these videos. Adam Robinson Yu mentioned how he made a short hike so he could take a break from another long-term project he was struggling with, and I think that's the perfect way to enjoy a short hike nowadays. If you're in the middle of something that's giving you some trouble, a short hike is a very small, very concentrated dose of joy, able to rejuvenate both body and mind. And it's there when you need it for picking up later, since there's lots of obscure little things to do. I, for one, will always be up for a game of beach stickball. What game starting with A do you hold near and dear to your heart? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you tomorrow for
B.
B!